last one is a clip of Moreno, I think's his name.
Oh, that's the guy we saw a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes,
From,
yes. Before,
Ohio. I think he's a senator from
I
Ohio,
think
if I'm
so.
not mistaken. Yeah, I like him. Yeah, I want to hear this.
Okay. I don't see it up there, but
Okay.
let's take a look at this one.
All right.
He brings up some good points here as well.
Thank you. Mr. Nisko, I'll start with you. Just a basic question, just to kind of level set. We can have the three of you just answer decently quickly. Do you think that people who are here in this country illegally, meaning they either entered illegally or overstayed a visa, should be deported? Yes, simple yes or no.
The rule of law, yes.
Mr. Ellison?
Do they have an asylum petition pending?
You get your microphone.
If they have a pending asylum petition, I think it should be heard. If they have some basis for their presence in the country, I think ordinary due process should take place.
Yeah, it's just from my perspective, simple. I'm not a big shot lawyer like you. Just a quick question. If you enter the country illegally or you overstay a visa, should you be deported?
My simple answer is, sir, it depends.
Okay, so if somebody breaks into your home, should they be arrested for breaking entering, or does it depend?
Just answer the damn question. What's wrong with it? I mean, come on. Simple yes or no. Should they be I don't need a depends.
What is a depend? So even and basically it's no. They
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's basically what he's saying.
yeah, it is a
no.
yes, but
Yeah.
just oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Charlie would have lost it already.
Yes. Yeah.
This guy's,
if he would have went down this road, yeah. But
wow.
but can't even answer a yes or no on that. He's got to bring up, well, are they seeking asylum? Are they, what the fuck? It's just
didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you if they're seeking anything.
No.
I asked you if they're here illegally
But
and their visas run out. Are they breaking
And
the
there
law?
again, Zig.
Don't you understand that? You're an attorney general. And you don't understand that simple question? Well, how the hell did you get to where you're at? I mean,
He's
this is
not
how
a
I
big
be
shot,
talking to you, Tom.
Yeah.
How the hell did you get to where you're at today without
Simple
a
question.
simple question?
Yep. But there again, I mean, and you look at all the radical Democrats to all of the Democrats in Washington, D.C., in the blue states, the state legislatures, all blue. Look at all that, and they all beat that same drum. That if an illegal crosses the border, he is not breaking the law. He is not breaking the law until he breaks a law when he's in this country. They beat that fucking drum and just keep beating it. And now they've even got some Republicans saying, well, yeah, he didn't break the law when he crossed over into our
See, they
country
they
illegally.
brainwashed them is what they
The fucking rhino Republicans are right on board with them. Yeah, it's not that he's breaking the
Is this
law.
all about votes?
It's all about votes.
Basically, in the next election, we got to keep these people here because
and the fact that that Saving America, I believe, bill, it passed. So now in federal elections, you have to show ID to vote.
Oh, no, that's racist. Okay, now you want me to actually show an ID to prove who I am?
Yeah.
To vote.
So let's finish this up, and then we will touch base on that a little bit.
It's an entirely different scenario.
How's that?
Because immigration is essentially a civil, and breaking into my home is a criminal matter.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So if there's laws that should be enforced, so we shouldn't enforce civil violations?
We absolutely should enforce them.
But you just said that it's a civil matter, so it's different. So if somebody
you enforce
creates
civil matters.
So if somebody commits a civil infraction, it shouldn't be enforced?
It should be.
Okay, so they should be deported.
No, they should have due process that is associated with their petition. So,
Okay,
for example,
so the act of entering the country illegally, you think we should say, well, did you really do it or not do it? It's pretty obvious that they did, right?
well, I mean, it would depend on the facts of the situation, and then they might say,
I just gave you the facts.
Right,
They entered the country.
If they were seeking asylum there, Keith, then they would have went to
They would have filed. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, if they were.
So
yes.
if they're seeking asylum, they're going to be at the border patrol and saying, hey, they're not going to sneak into the country, Keith.
Well, Tom,
Democrats just can't get
now we're going to catch them.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you've got to give them due process.
Now it's due process.
Now that you
they're
went and
in.
got them, no, wait a minute, they're supposed to go through the process when they get here,
Yes.
right? You know,
Yep.
I mean, there is a process to go through it. That's how we weed out the bad guys from the good guys.
The ones that we want, the ones that we don't.
Exactly.
Right. But not according to the Democrats. And the thing is that Keith is not on that bandwagon all by himself. You could name all of
I
them.
know. Well, they got to stick together. They got to stick together.
No, why don't
Yeah.
Republicans stick together?
Well, because we have common sense. We look at it from different angles.
Well-
Okay, and we have different opinions. We're not led to slaughter by one group.
Right.
You all believe this. This is the narrative. This is what we got to say. And we'll have the media behind us backing us. So don't worry about that.
Right.
And that's what they do. I mean,
Right.
That's,
Well, and seeing too, when Republicans get in power, then they just want to argue instead of putting their money where their mouth is and stop. A fucking Republican will sit there and tell you our kids are being in schools and colleges and they're all being taught this democratic way. And what are you doing to stop it? Why don't you pass a law to say no more federal funding for colleges?
Yeah.
Why don't you look at that? Why don't you do that? But no, we're going to argue the fact, and we're not going to put our money where our mouth is.
Without permission.
But Senator, what if they had a good faith basis to say they would be persecuted in their home country and subjected to real oppression there under international law? There are provisions for them to make a case.
That's a phenomenal point. Mexico and Canada, do you consider those to be safe countries or no?
Generally, I do, but there are certain
generally you do? Wow,
Well, I mean, I would just say this.
You border Canada. Don't insult your neighbors to the north.
No, I love my neighbors to the north.
So
but
is
I
it a generally safe country?
Oh, God, no.
Generally, yes.
So then somebody
Let
seeking
me
asylum
complicate it up.
could
Well, it
certainly
takes
be
away a
safe
minute.
in Canada and Mexico, no?
Now, so like if somebody, we do know that in Mexico, which is another country I truly admire and think it's a wonderful country, but there have been cases of persecution, people who have legitimate
So
fear.
people aren't safe in Mexico? Refugees cannot be safe in Mexico?
Some might not be. And I think, and what I'm saying,
maybe
Senator,
we shouldn't have a free trade agreement with them then.
I didn't say that, but what I would say, Senator, is that we should hear their petition. We should at least hear it out. We should say, is there a well-founded and legitimate fear of persecution in your home
That
country?
can't happen in Mexico?
Well, I think that she should just follow the international protocols that existed. And
It is, which is that you seek asylum in your nearest country that you are seeking asylum in. But it sounds to me that your answer is no. Mr. Snell?
Senator, if I were to answer, yeah,
Took him a long time to get to that point to say your answer is no. It took him a while for it to dawn in on him that, oh, his answer is no.
yes or no would be misleading. And I think ultimately it does boil down to due process.
It actually is pretty staggering that the easiest question that I could possibly ask is confusing for the two of you. I mean, that's decently disgusting, and I'm going to tell you why from my perspective. I wasn't born in this country. My mom and dad had to follow the rules to bring me and my 6 siblings into the United States, and I find it disgusting that the two of you guys want to reward people who skip the line, pay drug cartel members to smuggle them across the border, are coached to say exactly the right words when they hit Border Patrol. And by the way, the people who do that, the people who are from my neck of the woods, from South and Latin America, get abused, get raped, get held at gunpoint because people like you say, oh, it's okay, maybe we'll allow them into the country, when we should have a very simple policy, which is you can't enter our country illegally and you can't overstay your visa. The fact that the two of you are top law enforcement people in your state and you can't simply say, hey, violating a civil or criminal offense is a problem, is probably the origin of why we have these issues. Let's move on for something else. Mr. Ellison, as the Attorney General of the state of Ohio, I'm sorry, the state of Minnesota, you would never get elected in Ohio. Who's Victoria Harwell? Because you haven't said her name. I'm just curious who she is.
is there a question you'd like to ask me?
Yeah, who is she?
As I understand it, she's a very unfortunate, tragic victim of a crime.
Okay, and what have you done about it?
Well, in Minnesota, sir, I prosecute crimes that are.
What have you done for Victoria
I'm
Harwell?
telling you about my jurisdiction.
I'm just telling you what you've done for
No,
Victoria
I'm
Harwell.
telling you about my
No,
jurisdiction.
but I didn't ask you a question about your jurisdiction.
But it
If I
has
did,
to-
you could answer that one, but I haven't. So just tell me about Victoria Harwell. Just tell me what maybe the answer is nothing, which is fine. Just tell me what you've done for Victoria Harwell.
We have done everything that the law allows us to do.
You know, I watch these videos and they depress me. They depress me again Sunday morning. I tell you what, to think these people are in charge.
In charge.
You know, I just, they take your tax money, and they go spend it wherever they want, willy nilly.
And the bad thing about up there in Minnesota, my God, they are. I've got one more video here of a different hearing, but it's Ted Cruz brings up some good points here, and I was like, I was blown away by some of this stuff. And let me see if I can pull that one up. Here we go.
Hurting America. Each of you has a chance.
Yeah. So, but this here is just as nuts to realize. I mean, now with this chart here, you realize why all the Somalians are coming in this country and making a beeline right up to Minnesota. Listen to this.
Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. You know, I think it is amazing that Democrats never seem to focus on innocent victims who are shot and killed by illegal aliens that their policies have led into this country. They never seem to say names like Jocelyn Nungary in my hometown of Houston, who was raped and murdered, a young girl, by two Venezuelan gang members that Joe Biden had in custody and released, and they came to Houston and raped and murdered that beautiful little girl. They never seem to mention someone like Laken Riley, a nursing student, beautiful young woman, murdered by an illegal alien the Democrats have released. They never seem to mention anyone like Kate Steinle, a beautiful young woman, 28 years old, in California, shot on a pier by an illegal alien who had been released over and over and over again. We have had Kate Steinle's father testify before this committee. He held her head in his hands as she died, and her last words were, "Help me, Daddy." And yet, for my Democrat colleagues, it seems there's no limit to how many Americans can be murdered by illegal aliens, and yet they simply don't care. They still support open borders and releasing murderers and releasing violent criminals. We're here today because of the Democrats' open border policies and the damage it's done to this country. But we're also here today because Minnesota's welfare system has been treated like an open ATM, and the taxpayers are the ones getting robbed. Ms. Gambler, GAO has reported that the federal government loses hundreds of billions of dollars each year to fraud and improper payments, much of it in public benefit programs. Is that correct?
Yes, GAO has reported both on estimates of federal government losses due to fraud, as well as estimates of improper payments government-wide.
You may recall the infamous Leering Center, whose blacked-out windows and childless facilities have become emblematic of the public programs fraud currently plaguing Minnesota. Mr. O'Brien, when investigators encounter fraud this obvious, does it usually represent just a single isolated bad actor or the visible tip of a much larger scheme?
No, it's usually the visible tip of a much, much larger scheme. Fraud has a tendency not to occur in a vacuum.
In that instance, the fraud was so blatant that the owners of the business couldn't be bothered to spell the organization's name correctly on the public signage. Mr. O'Brien, does fraud of that magnitude typically persist because it's difficult to detect, or because oversight and enforcement break down?
It tends to persist because oversight and enforcement break down, and it tends to spread geometrically.
The Somali fraud problem in Minnesota is not confined to child care centers. Federal prosecutors in Minnesota expect that half of the more than $18 billion spent since 2018 on 14 different Minnesota welfare programs may prove to be fraudulent. To put that figure into perspective, the amount of fraud, if confirmed, may approach the entire GDP of the nation of Somalia. Mr. Hankinson, once funds are laundered and sent overseas to fragile or corrupt jurisdictions, is there any realistic prospect of recovering them?
Only if they come back and spend them.
In many respects, Minneapolis has become the Mogadishu of the Midwest. As the chairman of the Subcommittee on Federal Courts Oversight, Agency Action and Federal Rights, I'm proud to have held a hearing last week on the issue of fraud within the Minnesota Somali community and beyond. But the problem of fraud doesn't stop there, and neither does our inquiry. Our shared civic culture rests on something uniquely American, a respect for the public commons. It is clear, though, that though Minnesota opens its doors in the early 1990s to a massive number of Somali immigrants, that kindness was not reciprocated. Instead, it was exploited again and again and again, and that's simply unacceptable. Mr. Beer, can any welfare system long survive if large-scale fraud is excused and explained away rather than confronted?
No.
It would be entirely naive to assume that fraud of this magnitude simply stopped at public program frauds. I encourage you to examine the graph behind me. What do you notice about the usage of public programs among Minnesota's Somali immigrant population? 81% of Somali households in Minnesota receive some form of welfare, compared to 21% of non-Somali households. 54% of Somali households receive food stamps, compared to 7% of non-Somali households. 73% are enrolled in Medicaid, compared to 18% of non-Somali households. And 27% receive cash assistance, compared to 6% of non-Somali households. My question to the panel, and this is my final question, is importing vast numbers of people from an impoverished nation, putting the majority of them on public welfare for years and decades at a time, and then turning a blind eye while they steal billions of dollars from the taxpayers. Is that helping America or hurting America? Each of you has a chance to answer that. Ms. Gambler.
Yes, thank you, Senator. I would just say that your question really speaks to the work that GAO has done as it relates to leading practices for managing fraud risk. We've put out a framework for agencies that can help them better put in place processes and controls up front to prevent fraud risks, and then also have policies and practices in place to really tailor their anti-fraud activities and anti-fraud approaches.
I believe in the melting pot. I'm an immigrant, but to melt, you need heat. You've got to put heat on people to make sure they obey laws and learn how we do business in the United States.
Is that helping or hurting America? It's a simple question.
I think if we ignore fraud, we're hurting America, of course.
Okay. Mr. Linderman?
That's not in the U.S. national interest, Senator, and we know that Somalia is a high fraud country. To bring people from that country who cannot integrate into our systems is not in the U.S. national interest.
Mr. O'Brien?
I believe it was Milton Friedman who said you can have a welfare state or you can have open borders, but you can't have both.
Mr. Beer?
We can build a wall around the welfare state, and that would be a lot better for taxpayers than building a wall and keeping out all these legal immigrants who can come and
Is this helping or hurting America?
Certainly, the welfare state is a problem, but
Mr. Schwartz?
Reform it.
It is not unusual for immigrant populations to have a high degree of assistance early in after their arrival, but we are already seeing statistics that the net benefit economically of Somali presence in the United States far outweighs the cost.
So your testimony is this massive welfare usage is helping America, and the fraud is helping America?
Not the fraud. We need to go after the fraud, which makes all inexplicable the Trump administration's decision to take actions that has decimated the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota. I can't understand it. Can you understand it?
So simple question. Is this helping America or hurting America?
The Somali presence in the United States is helping America. That graph
for the Minnesota taxpayers.
He just said that there was 83% 81% of Somalians there in Minnesota alone that is on public aid. 83% he goes through. My question would have been is that 27% on the cash assistance.
Yeah.
Is that without the $9 billion they frauded from it?
I think those are separate.
Oh,
I'm really sure. When it's, yeah, I'm betting that's separate from the 9 billion fraud. But,
and then that one moron, that national interest of United States is to let people from a fraudulent country who can't make their country great. We can't do that, but by God, we're not smart enough to do that, but we're smart enough to come into United States and fraud you stupid bastards out of $9 billion. And you got Democrats saying, whoa. They can't even answer. Yes, it's bad for the country to be frauded by anyone.
Of course they're going to come here and fraud the U.S. government. The U.S. has money. You can't fraud that kind of money in Somalia.
Well, no.
There's not that kind of money there to be frauded.
Well, yeah,
frauded.
they said
Is
that it was
a word,
almost.
frauded? Yeah. I mean, so they come here, they go, and once you get a few in, now you get their, hey,
It's
hey,
not
they
at the
tell
natural
somebody
interest.
else, hey, Tom, come on into the, you need to leave that damn Somalia shit and come on over to US of A and by God, we'll get you money. You'll have more money in your
They
pocket.
come right to
You know what you're
Minnesota
doing.
because they'll take care of us and they'll take care of us for a long time.
I mean, you don't see them all across the country.
No.
Now, I'm sure there's Somalia here or there. I'm sure there is. But you don't see them spread out among sea to shining sea.
Right.
Where they go? They do go to Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I mean, I've been there. I know. I mean, seen plenty.
Yeah.
You know,
and you just wonder what the hell is going on with Americans, and then you got those two freaking morons sitting there.
All you need is enough people to look the other way.
Yeah.
And it'll continue.
Well, as long as they keep greasing their pockets.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's always kickbacks in it.
Oh,
yeah. I'm not going to do this for free. Are you kidding?
They did not bribe me. That was a campaign contribution.
Yeah. No, Keith Ellison doesn't think so.
Oh,
I have nothing to do with that.
I did not do that.
$10,000?
Yeah.
So it's.
So I got to go back because this was funny. This one guy here, he was funny. There he is. So let's listen to this again and see if you can wrap your brain around this, of what this idiot just said here.
That's not in the U.S. national interest, Senator, and we know that Somalia is a high fraud country. To bring people from that country who cannot integrate into our systems is not in the U.S. national interest.
Mr.
Did you just understand that?
Yeah.
It's a high. So there's a lot of fraud going on in Somalia. So for you not to allow them to come to this country is not at the best interest of the United States.
Maybe he got a little confused there. Tom, you know what? He's under the lights, you know, and he's up there talking to, you know. Maybe he got a little word salad going. You know how that can go these days.
I would have looked at him and I said, so you did believe Mayorkas when he said the fucking border was closed.
I will ask him that too. Yeah. Oh my God.
When Joe said the border was closed, you believed him, didn't you?
Yeah, everything was secure. Yeah.
God.
As the video runs in the background of thousands and thousands crossing the border every day.
Not like the
and we have no idea who the hell's coming in.
Like that peaceful protest there in Minnesota.
Minnesota again.
Minnesota's just
what happened in Minnesota?
It's just a hell. I mean, there is no freaking way that, and no freaking way I would move and live in Minnesota. No way.
They can break off and go to Canada. They're right there. You can just draw a wiggly line.
Yeah.
And just break heaven. Okay, Minnesota, we're done with you.
Yeah.
Secede from the country, from the union, and we'll see you. Okay. Good luck. Good luck on living with Canadians.
Well, then Somalia probably get pissed. So you got most of our residents in your country, so why don't you be us? Because you fit right in with all the fraud. I mean, we could fraud you guys, you can fraud us, and hell, everybody's frauding, and we'll give you kickbacks and all that stuff. I mean, so I don't know. I think they'd be better off in
Up to 80% of
80.
of Somalians are just kind of living off the government.
Yeah.
That's great because you're not going to get you're not going to be able to live off the government, Somalia.
Yeah.
So Tom, you get on whatever means of you can, transportation to get to Minnesota. Because by that now your cousin, uncle, brother, whatever is already here,
right,
and is already saying, "Well, come on up, shit, bring the kids."
Yeah,
you know they'll get taken care of. We've got these Americans, and bamboozled,
right,
to where shit, we've got money flowing.
And you got to wonder though, and I know you got to know that this is not a good look for America, for outside of America. It's not a good look. Because now, what if Brazilians want to come up and say, well, fuck, if they can do it, why can't we?
We've got to figure out a way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Illinois, it's a blue state.
Yeah.
Let's go there. Let's fraud them bastards out of their money. In which now, from my understanding, I don't know, but I heard that Illinois now is getting ready to, or in the process, or wanting to pass a law that they, taxpayers of Illinois, is going to pay for college for illegals scot-free. They don't. Illinoisans are going to get their taxes raised to pay for tuition for illegals in the state of Illinois.
Well, that next vacation I take, you're going to have to get a new partner.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back then. I'm going to a free state. You know what? And you go to Florida, they'll tell you we are a free state.
Yes.
Things are a little more expensive down there, I'll admit, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. But like you said, at least they don't dick around down there. You abide by the law because there's no stupidity like at the best interest to not allow Somalians coming in to fraud. And then you sit back and you say, what the hell is going on with this country? Why would you even say something that stupid? Oh, so basically then for you, mister, is that it's they've done frauded poor Somalia. They have no more to fraud, so they're going to come over here and fraud. And to you think that if we tried to keep them out, then that's a bad thing. National security and all of that. So that's a bad thing.
What's his name? Nick Shirley?
Yeah.
He's number one public enemy.
Oh, yeah.
On the Somalia board.
Right.
Poor guy.
Yeah. But like I said, I would think, that they would want to keep this on the down low because you got other countries looking and saying, well, hell, who would have thought? Who would have thought that you would have went into the highly educated United States of America and fraud them out of $9 billion? And not only that, but you have Democrats that are protecting you. Now, I'm a Brazilian. Why can't I go up there and do that? Why don't me and my uncles and aunts?
Oh, don't worry. I'm sure they're going to start checking other states.
Like I say, go right into a blue state.
It's not the only place. I got to tell you.
Right.
What's going on? Yeah.
Well, yes, you crossed over illegally. You betcha we're going to pay for your college. Illinois is going to pay for college tuition for illegals. Raise the American citizens' taxes to pay for. And you can bet your ass that all of them, if it does happen, bet your ass that every United States citizen of Illinois will vote them bastards right back in.
Not this one.
No,
I'm not going to. I'm only one guy. So
yeah.
But oh well.
It is the damnedest thing. But this here. I'll tell you the fraud there. I mean, it is good for America, the nation, to get over this and show people are going to prison. That's what we need. You know, people are actually, you're hearing it, but you don't see anything. You know, you don't see anything because you won't get the right now. You know, if there was somebody arrested, then CNN's going to come up with some stupid shit of somehow it's a sham that this poor immigrant coming to the United States to make a better life for himself, who figured out how to fraud Minnesota out of billions of dollars or millions of dollars, is now being targeted by the U.S. government to pay that money back. You know, MSNBC would be the same way. And Fox, they're just worried about Nancy Guthrie and seeing what happened to her. So you're never going to hear anything about it on Fox. After Fox gets done with Nancy, it's just going to be, you know, it's going to be. And in closing, the Minnesota fraud is over with. And Fox viewers are going to say, what? what do you mean? So what happened? What happened? We were too concerned about Nancy to worry about.
Well, it's the latest story, Thomas.
Yeah.
Big story.
Oh, it's for Fox.
Yeah. Well,
it is a big story for Fox, in which I don't understand. She's not a celebrity.
But she's a celebrity's mom.
She's a news anchor's mom. It ain't like it's Taylor Swift's mom. And even then, I bet she wouldn't get the coverage.
No, I don't know if we'd care as much if it was Taylor Swift's mom.
No.
I don't know, but I don't know. Still,
I
sad
think
story,
it's
you know.
Well, sure, it's a sad story.
You know, and still haven't found her. I haven't heard much.
All right.
Lately, I've been out the loop a little bit, been gone, but.
No, I think they're still searching.
Are they really? Well, that's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
That's kind of good.
That's sad, but how many times a year does this happen? I mean, I imagine Joe Blow out there says, well, you guys didn't give a fuck about my mom. Would she come up missing?
Joe Blow, your mom's not a celebrity, and neither are you. So and nobody, you're right. Nobody would give a damn.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
My mom didn't get all that news coverage.
That's the way. Boy, how was your Valentine's? Oh, okay. Not very good. I can tell you're a little grumpy over there this morning.
No, it just, I think America, you know, the Democrats are getting their way because Republicans are too stupid to stop this shit. That's the thing that burns my ass. And I know that we're eventually, I mean, to listen to a Democrat, we're going to be a fucking communist country. And the Republicans are setting back. Well, now, Ted, you ain't got the right to say that.